Hi class, in these type of examples we're going to be looking at equivalent fractions. And the main idea with equivalent fractions is that these are fractions that represent the same value or same area depending on what you're looking at. So for example, if you take a look at the value of a half, that's technically half of a circle. If you cut the circle in two pieces, that is also equivalent to 2/4. If you cut it in 4 pieces, or if you cut it in 6, it'll be 3/6, or if you cut it in 8 pieces, that would be 4 out of 8. So all of these fractions represent the same area or value of an integer. Let's take a look at some of these examples. And for example, problem 1 is saying which of these 4 fractions is equivalent to 2/7. Now, for equivalent fractions, the best way to check which one's equivalent to 2/7 is to simplify them. And then once you simplify them, if they reduce to 2/7, they represent the same fraction. So for example, in this case, I'm just going to say that 4/14. If we were to reduce the fraction, this will be 2 times 2 and then 2 times 7. Notice that you have a common factor of a 2. And then I'm just going to rewrite it as 2/7. And in this case, this will be one of our solutions. It reduced to 2/7. Let's take a look at the second one. So in this case, well, if you factor the top, this will be 2 times 3, and then 18. You can rewrite it as 6 times 3. And in this case, common factors of 3s, we could reduce further. So this will be 2 times 1 and 2 times 3. In this case, this fraction reduced to 1/3. So it will not be an equivalent fraction. Let's take a look at the next one. And in this case, well, you could factor a 5. So 2 times 5 and then 7 times 5. So for this one is equivalent. We end up with the 2/7. Let me box it in before we forget. Let me do the one on the top. And in this case, this is 14 times 1 and 14 times 2. So we can cancel the 14. So we're looking at, this is a half. Now, they're asking for which of these is equivalent to 2/7. So let me just write my answer that only um, 4/14 and 10/35 are equivalent to the values of 2/7. That's actually it for this problem. I didn't box in the 6/18 or the 14/28 because they reduced to another value. So we're only looking at 2 of these, and this is supposed to be a 0. Let me fix it. Okay, let's take a look at problem 2. Now, problem 2, they're asking for 4 fractions that are equivalent to 1/5. So what I'm going to do is, well, you technically have the 1/5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by a value that's going to keep it equivalent. So I'm going to multiply times 2, but you also multiply times 2 the top. So in this case, you're looking at, well, 2/10 would be one of the answers. Our second fraction, I'm just going to say that we have 1/5, and we're going to multiply by 3s. So times 3. And times 3. So we're looking at 3/15. This will be another equivalent fraction. Let's do, in this case, for the third, you have 1/5, and let me just rewrite the fourth. 1/5. And then the next one, I'm just going to multiply by the next integer. So times 4 times 4, and times 5th, and times 5th. Times 5, I mean. So we're looking at, this is 4 20s. This is 5/25. And let me just rewrite my answers as a sentence. So the values of 2 10s, 3 15s, 4 20s, and 5/25 are equivalent to 1/5. And once again, to make equivalent fractions, you're just multiplying by multiples. So here I'm just selecting multiples of 2, 3, 4, 5s. You could have selected any other value, but other numbers would have been larger. Let's take a look at problem 3. And good news on this one, they only want 2 fractions. So let's just say that for the first one, we have 3/8, and I'll multiply times 2, which will give us 6/16. Second fraction, we have 3/8, and we're going to multiply times 3. So in this case, 9/24. Our final answer would be that 6/16, 9/24 are equivalent to the values of 3/8. And let me just stop here. I'll do the other problems in another video.